Good morning. I'm really drawn to water as a bird. I like to see water birds, waders, so on. And this is definitely not on the level, but I'm on the Regent's canal in Hackney in London. Just going to head under a bridge, and it's really quite beautiful. There is plenty of bird life around, green parakeets, a lot of crows, magpies, but there are also some coots nesting on the river. I'll show you. So this is the section of the Regent's Canal between Hackney Central and Haggerston, and over here on the opposite side of the river are some coots on a nest, and there's young in there. I can't zoom in any closer, I'm afraid, but I'll see if I can move around a little so you can see the young. But there are 1, 2, 3 young in there. I hope you're not watching on your phone because it's probably far too small to see. One thing I particularly noticed since being in Hackney is the preponderance of A, single speed bicycles, and B, joggers. I think there are some about to pass me actually, so they're kind of coming, so I'm going to keep out of their way. There you go. But being in cities is quite different from being on the level, and I think that one of the things that I notice about people wherever I go is that they still, even in a space like this, which is hyper populated, obviously it's very busy. We've got a lot of canal boats here. Some people live on these, some of them maybe hire vessels, I guess. And but yeah, it strikes me that despite living in the city, people still want that connection with nature, and there are people out just walking along here, making their way to wherever it is they're going, as well as maybe just spending a little bit of time to just get away from the busy streets and the traffic, perhaps. The green parakeet squeaking. They're up in the trees up here. There's some trees, and there's a couple on top of the high-rise up here. But yeah, the number of people who are obviously, clearly, just wanting to stay fit, exercise, and find a little bit of space away from the busy side of the city. Life is here though. There are wrens singing, I can hear blackbirds. There's a wren in the background there, robins, and bicycles. So far about 37,000 or so single speed bikes that have passed me, or I have passed. There's something very cool over here. As that wren sings. What the hell is that? It's like a massive inflatable barge. I think it's going to start to rain. There are some sharks over here as well. Not in the water, giving any danger to anybody, but... And there's a slogan painted over on the thing which says, "Save the Hackney Sharks." And here's one. It's great. Aha! My first mallards. A couple of mallards on the water behind me. Where are they? There we go. Those are the first I've seen here. It's been mainly coots actually on the water. Various amounts of nests. A lot of gulls overhead, a couple of swifts screaming around. So even in the city you can find that life if you look around and listen as well. There's a school right here by the well, the rain started as I suspected it might, so I think I'm going to head for somewhere indoors to get a bite to eat and some lunch. Did you ever notice that smell when it rains? When it's been dry for a little while and the rain hits the ground and you get the smell coming up from the ground. Petrichor. It's called petrichor, and it's.
But if I go home and then I have to come
I think
back.
it's quite wonderful. I don't know what causes it. No idea. I'm going to have to look that up. Or if you know, let me know. This seems like a pretty nice section. Some very posh houses over there. And I keep finding myself wondering whether I might be lucky enough to see something like a kingfisher, but I don't know, I just don't think that the river probably sustains enough. The canal would sustain fish for a kingfisher, and I imagine I'd probably have to get up to the marshes to see something like that. And a couple of people have recommended that I go north from here up to Hackney marshes, where there is a nature reserve. So I don't know, I might head that way. Well, let's see. For now, just walking along the towpath is just really quite lovely. So I'm heading now to Victoria Park. I'm going to see what's that way and see what we can find. But I read on a sign as I came into the park that the canal was, up until 1847, it was perfectly okay for men and boys to bathe naked in the canal. And then there was a public outcry about decency. So they built a bathing lake in the park here, and that's the lake that I'm heading towards. And mixed bathing became popular as well. They actually built a public pool in the park, and I think there's some still here as well. Just looking at the map, there are still some public pools here that you can swim in today. Well, there's my first surprise. Just came across this bridge behind me, and there is. Well, let's take you back, and we can have a look. So this comes across the lake that I was talking about, the what was built as a swimming lake. And down there, these guys are tufted ducks. Not what I expected at all. There's mallards, there's moorhens, and there's coots, but tufted ducks. Yeah, certainly not what I expected to find in the middle of a London park. These guys are Egyptian geese. They were originally brought to the UK as ornamental birds in the 17th or 18th century, something like that. And they escaped from captive flocks and now breed all across the UK. And I read recently that they're not actually a kind of goose at all, but a kind of duck, which is related to our shell duck in some way. Well, you will see these in parks. So we've had some on the levels. Last time I was down there, actually, I saw a couple. You don't see them very often, but from time to time. Unsurprisingly, there are Canada geese here too. You may even find that they have young. I know at the Common Pond in Hailsham, we've got young goslings there. It's really quite nice here. It's just a good variety of bird life. We've got some feral pigeons down here. Can you hear them? Kind of cooing to one another. There are magpies. There are obviously lots of sparrows, a few starlings, and then the waterbirds as well. Noisy waterbirds. If you can see them, I'll try and zoom in, but the feet on the bottom of the coot are astonishing. They're like feathers almost. There's a Canada goose, and then behind over here we have a grey lag. I'm hoping you can hear a whistle. That is on that orange buoy there, or there was, or is, there is a coot's nest, and the whistle is the coot whistle. Now also over here I've just seen, and I'm going to see if I can try and get close enough to film. Not very easy with this camera, unfortunately, with the phone, but there is a great crested grebe, and there seems to be a grebe chick with it. So, and obviously I don't want to disturb that, so I won't go too close. The sun's starting to come out. It's really quite beautiful. What I thought was a grebe chick wasn't a grebe. It was actually a chick of a coot, which the grebe was chasing away, sort of saying, "Get out of my patch." And the chick is now reunited with its coot mummy. But also, while I've been looking around here, I've spotted a grey heron at the edge of the lake, and pochard as well, which is kind of duck. It was swimming with one of the tufted ducks. Pochard is more sort of a white body and a beautiful russet shaped head. Now, according to one of the signs in the park here, they also have red-breasted pochard, which I haven't seen yet. But I guess we'll have a look and see what we can find. Can you see the tuft on the top of the tufted duck's head, kind of coming down the back? A beautiful bright golden eye, and the tuft off the back of its head. Here you can see the coot's feet that I mentioned earlier, almost like feathers. They're really wide and they're not webbed, but the toes themselves act like little paddles. You might have noticed that many of the birds that I've filmed today are quite used to human contact, and that's, I guess, just simply because they are in a public park where the public are here a lot. And then I guess there's ups and downs to that, but one of the positives is that it's, for some people, might be some of the only contact that they get with some of these species in at least a semi-natural location, habitat. And they're certainly all healthy animals. They're not kept here captively. They are all healthily living together. They'll have been attracted by the fact that the park was landscaped in such a way that they can thrive here. So yeah, I think that's a good thing. Come away from the lake a little bit now to see if I can find anything more in the way of perhaps songbirds. There are robins around, certainly. Not a songbird, but that's a wood pigeon calling up there. And lots of wrens. There's been some wrens shouting for a little bird. They have a mighty loud voice. But I'm heading north now, back towards Hackney Central. I'm going to see if I can... there's a common just north that I've spotted on the map. I can't think what it's called. We're going to head there. It says less busy than normal on the map. Quite what that means, I don't know. Okay, listen carefully. Oh, damn it, they've stopped. In the trees here in this, around the back of this church, I'm on, no idea what road I'm on. But there were, just a moment ago, a family of long-tailed tits flitting about in amongst the trees, particularly up here. There you go, you can hear them now, listen. That's a long-tailed tit up there. Slightly quieter area. It's a shame I can't show you these birds. They're very pretty. They're tiny, kind of mouse-sized birds with a pink and black and white. They're beautiful. Sometimes known as a titmouse because of their size and their fluffiness. They tend to look really fluffy. I'm on Well Street Common. Just the top end of it, actually. It's quite large, but I'm just on a small part of it. And really, it's quite calm. Lots of people walking dogs. And planes going over. I feel like I'm in an episode of Taskmaster. You can see. So planes in the background. Can you see that one? Is that very obvious? I'm not sure. Well, I've come full circle now. I've walked from Well Street Common all the way back down Well Street to Mare Street, where I am now. Behind Mare Street, over that side, is London Fields, where I started walking in the kind of greener areas and then down to Broadway Market and the canal. And, well, I hope you've kind of enjoyed a little tour off the levels. And I think next time, one of the things I wanted to do today, perhaps, but it's quite, I probably should have planned it in more detail, but was to get up to Hackney Marshes, where there are sort of certain areas that are set aside as nature reserve and wetland, and so perhaps that's going to have to be another off the level episode at some time in the future. Perhaps I can come up later in the summer. I'll just leave you with the joy that I've just seen and heard swifts flying overhead, and it's one of the sounds of summer that I really enjoy. And I'm going to head off back, get something to eat, and get a train back home to Hailsham. I'll see you for another On the Level at some point soon.